idea of what's happening now. We're recapping everything here on our front. Debbie's been finalizing our books, going through our final invoices and things like that. As far as specific numbers, we don't really exactly have yet because we have some invoices that are trickling in still ahead of the game a lot more often than not. As far as being able to write, it checks out in advance and to pay for things for the festival in advance. It's going to be on August 2nd. The way that they're going to be set up is this year and talking to the board of directors. We are going to put a cap on the size of our board, which we've never had an issue with that before. Before it had just been a group of 12 people, around about 12, give or take a few, that we're just putting on the festival each year. And we're looking to expand, and that's where the idea of year-round committees come in. That's where those of you who are showing up to these meetings and kind of finding out where we're going and the direction that we're going and the things that we're doing and the other groups that we're working with and the events that we're planning, we would love to engage you to then join our year-round Pride Festival committee. The elections process and the nominations process is going to come. So differently, our bylaws are not that specific as far as to where do directors come from. The past few years, at least in my engagement with them, it hasn't been. And I was asking why. And instead of going with each of those individuals, whether it be the health department, whether it be EFA, whether it be MQ, whether it be any of those groups, they're starting to work together, which is great. It streamlines communication, but it only gives us like one application from them. So I think we were underestimating how much space they needed, how much what they needed as a group. So instead of treating them as a vendor of one of hundreds, I'm going to bring them into the fold more of a sponsorship partnership, and I'm going to be working very, very closely with them in the next year to expand. Goal would be Pride Houston has a whole city block that is sponsored by Walgreens that they have as their health and wellness village. And I would love to move to that direction, that whole front area of the park be where you can find out information. And not only about as one of my pet projects for the year, and I'm very open to ideas to be better, but also grow and hopefully serve more communities better. We're already one of the largest, I don't know if I can say the largest Pride Festival because Chicago started producing a festival.
Information between ourselves and as many individuals as possible, because we all realize every person has something to sort of give to us, contribute to us, as well as we have something that we can give to those individuals. And here's something really important I want you guys to recognize. This involvement does not have to be limited to the LGBT community.
Bring in a lot of outside acts that you're not going to see at insert the name of a bar on a weekend in August. We actually bring in people from Louisiana, from Jen Foster comes up from Kentucky or something, I believe. Huh?
California.
She moved. California? I don't know. Eric and the Adams, Outer Town Act. I mean, we have a lot of varying aspects of our entertainment, whereas a lot of other festivals, especially ones our size or even a little bit larger, they'll put all of their eggs into one headliner's basket. And then they will expect the local community to kind of fill up the rest of their entertainment schedule. And I don't know if that's a successful way of doing it. I know that Kansas City is a prime example. They have great headliners. They had En Vogue in the past, that they've had RuPaul, they've had amazing things. But what a lot of people don't realize is if you look at the rest of their entertainment lineup, it's a lot of local entertainers.
The way it's funded is their bars actually sponsor and pay to put people on their stage, which works very well for them, but we try to bring in more of a variety that may not, your local bar may not say, oh, I'm getting a lot of FaceTime with this out-of-town act. So they aren't going to necessarily sponsor it, which KC really, really relies on their bars and their local people to pay for the time and fill it however they want, which also means we wouldn't know, they're not necessarily, in on the big picture of what's happening on their stages like we really try to be.
Right. So, I mean, that's just one example of our sister city and how they operate. Well, we're kind of on a different model, and I think we're on a more progressive model that as we grow, we're going to have the funding to then grow on bringing even bigger acts to round out a very well-rounded entertainment schedule. So, but I would love to have a specific event to say, you want to bring in, insert a name here, know we cannot ever afford Lady Gaga, but I would sure like to try is not the pre-planning and not the curveballs thrown to us by the city of St. Louis. This year we were hit with some last-minute information about some licensing that needed to be happen. All vendors need to be licensed at large festivals, and the way that we had interpreted the ordinance was that we did not apply to it because it says a 3-day festival. Last I checked, we're a 2-day festival, but because we have a parade, that adds a day on somehow, and we're a 3-day festival.
What?
Magic. I have a lawyer looking into it, and I'm going to be writing a letter to the city. But here or there, the week before, we couldn't fight it. So that's how we got hit with that $75 licensing fee. And once again, I apologize to that. Trying to sell a last-minute T-shirt or hand out inflammatory information to our community about our community, we can now officially ask them to leave because they have no licensing. So